Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for being here. Super small channel, so any view I get anytime anybody stops by, just thank you. I can't say it enough. Today, I'm looking at the Sony INZONE earbuds. I picked up this product because it's getting hot here in Arizona and it's only March. So I wanted to be ready for the extreme heat around my heated devices that put off so much thermal heat. It's crazy. So that's why I picked up these. I was actually starting to miss the Sony Pulse Explore buds that I reviewed a few weeks back. And yeah, I'm hoping these scratch the itch that one couldn't. But I think we're on the right track here. We have a lot of features that one did not have. And for $200 marketed at people that play on PC and PlayStation, this is a really good value, and we're going to go into some of those details. But I wanted to give you guys my perspective along the way, so a few opinions in there as I've been using these buds for probably two and a half weeks now, and I have some thoughts. So let's get started with what's included with the buds. Starting off with the meat and potatoes here, you have the buds themselves. You have these very nice, I think they're pretty sharp looking earbuds, kind of this old school Bluetooth style earbud that has a modern twist to it. They're big, they're girthy, but it doesn't really bother me because I just like the way they look. You get this nice case that's included with the dongle. The dongle's not in here right now. I have it plugged into my PC. But yeah, it has an included dongle that could be worked on both with a little toggle in the middle to go back and forth between PS5 and mobile, and then toggling over to PC. So one thing right off the bat that you notice in here is that you have the dongle included in the case itself. That's something that was missing with the PlayStation Explorer. While you do have a dongle with it, there was nowhere to put it, and it was kind of a gripe of mine. The case itself is really strong. The magnets feel really good. I haven't had any trouble with these guys like falling out on me. The one gripe I think that I have about the case is maybe that I've gotten it dirty a little bit already and that the top hinge feels like it's loose. I'm not really sure, but it rattles a little bit and it just feels a little, I don't know, unstable. You also get the USB-C cable that comes with the Sony INZONE Buds. I've already lost it as it wouldn't have made much of a difference because it was like this big. So yeah, there's that. And then you get the color-coded earbuds and sizes to try, which we'll talk a little bit about when we get into the app. The earbuds do come in two separate colors. So you have the black on black gloss, and then you have the white on black gloss. I opted for the white, as most of my controllers have that mostly white looking vibe going to them, especially my DualSense Edge, which is probably my primary controller of choice right now. And yeah, I like them, but the one thing that I'm not really a fan of is this gloss. I talked about how I was praising the Sony Pulse Explorer on my last video for not putting gloss on the earbuds, and here we go with Sony, the Sony marketing team putting gloss on these guys, which, dude, these are gonna get scratched, like inevitably scratched. They're impossible to keep clean as all of your touch features do come on this little glossy end, which isn't a bad thing. I do think the touch features is a great part of the product, but yeah, they're gonna get scratched, they're gonna get fingerprints, they're never gonna be clean. The case itself is a little bit on the bigger side. I typically walk around with the Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro, and those fit in my pocket just fine. These do too, for the record. They're totally fine sitting in your pocket, maybe a little bit bigger. A foreign object in there might have noticed just the difference, but honestly, it's nothing you can get used to. You do have a USB-C port on the back of the device, and then you're also gonna get this little pairing button back there, which allows you to pair to your phone if you have LE audio, which we will talk a little bit more about in the video. So as far as the comfort's concerned, these are really light. Like, they look big. Like at first glance, you're just like, wow, that's a big earbud. But when you put them in your ear, they fit really nice, and they also just feel really nice. I think a lot of the times when I'm trying on new earbuds, and even some of my favorite earbuds, I have this weird break-in period, I call it, where it's like, okay, I feel like my ears are kind of forming to this. I notice it for the most part. And I think with these, what surprised me is that there was no break-in period. It was very like right off the bat, I'm feeling very like there's nothing really in my ears. So I've been wearing these for hours, playing games like Helldivers, playing Remnant 2, really just trying to explore how they sound and how they feel. And I gotta tell you, as far as the feeling goes, like they feel nice. The one thing that can be disorienting is if you got earrings like me and they click up to the big part of the bud, that can be a little like, ooh, what was that? But as long as you're kind of turning them upward, you're good to go. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about those connections. The Sony INZONE Buds support a 2.5 gigahertz connection with that dongle. That's gonna be to either your PlayStation 5, your PC, or your Mac computer, or to anything else that supports audio out through USB-C. So you can't use the Xbox, obviously, in this case. Not that they would probably allow it if they could, but the Xbox does not support USB audio. I had no problems with the connection when I first put it into the PS5, and same thing with the PC. Easy connections right off the bat. You know, you're just gonna change that switch right on the dongle itself, and which I do forget to do sometimes, but it works right away. Now, as far as if you do have a phone that works with LE audio, which is the only Bluetooth that this earbud here supports, then you can switch back and forth from your PlayStation, PC, wherever the dongle's connected, to the Bluetooth on your, let's say, your phone. Now, the problem is that LE audio is a codec, a Bluetooth codec that's not widely available by any means. Unfortunately, no iOS Apple devices use that, and very rarely will you see it on an Android device. I, however, got lucky. It is included on my Samsung phone, so I was tinkering around with that, and it works really well. Unfortunately, I just don't think that most people will have it, which is kind of a bummer. Granted, I think a lot of people are just buying the buds just to have as like a gaming headphone, gaming earbuds, just to kind of sit with their PC, their PlayStation, or anything like that. Even switch if you want to use the dongle. And just a small side note on connections too. When it comes to the PlayStation Portal, which I know a lot of people were interested in getting the PlayStation Pulse Explorer so they could use it with the Portal. These do not connect to the PlayStation Portal. Unfortunately, they do not provide the PlayStation Link technology in the dongle. But I will say, if you wanted to just use your PlayStation Portal in the house, like I do, keep it by the bed or something, it's not, you could still use these. All you have to do is just hook them up to your PlayStation like normal. And there's nothing stopping basically the PlayStation from outputting a sound to your TV or anything like that. So I mean, everything's coming through the same. So if you're someone that never leaves the house with your Portal, you can absolutely use these depending on how big your place is. I took it around my house. I have a smaller house, but at the same time, like I took them outside with the PlayStation Portal. I was sitting on the couch. I went to the other side of the house. I was kind of walking all around, kind of stress testing it, and I didn't have a problem once. So hopefully you guys have the same results. Okay, so when we're talking about the apps for the INZONE Buds, there's a specific one dedicated for PC and Mac, and honestly, it really expands the use of what you're getting out of these earbuds. So let's go ahead and we'll take a look at that right now and kind of see the functionality that's included. All right, so now we're in the INZONE Buds app, or the INZONE app in general. Let's start off with device settings, and the first thing you have is the touch sensor functionality. I love this, that you can actually go in here and you can create your own I've created my own. I didn't like the defaults that were actually on here, but they give you instructions on how to do that. You can reset it if you mess it up, but it's all really intuitive for the most part. The one thing I will tell you though is that some of these work better than others. I would not set lowering the volume to taps, as it doesn't work as efficiently as it would be just like holding down. You have determine optimal earbud tips. I went through this a few times. Turns out I got 2 different size holes in my head, as it ended up telling me that I needed one size in one ear and another size in a different one. The only bad part is that you have to go through each individual earbud tip, and then they tell you at the very end which one's best for you based off of how much sound was let in and air seeped through, which is pretty neat. Automatic power off, notifications and voice guide. I left that on so I know where I'm at, instead of it's just like a ding and the microphone's off. Now it tells me the microphone is actually off. Ambient sound control operations. You can kind of turn off which ones you don't want to show up as you make that that button. You see all 3 actually get put into one specific setting. So I ended up taking off the off, as these are the only 2 I really use. Bluetooth, automatic connection switching for outgoing and incoming calls. So this is nice if you do have a phone that supports LE audio. It basically just switches automatically once you get a phone call, but you do have to switch back once that phone call is over. So just keep that in mind. In the app settings, you will find an EQ. You can see I've messed around a little bit, as I wasn't really fond of how the earbuds sounded right out of the box. I've boosted the bass, I've boosted a little bit mids and highs. Not a fan of it out of the box. Once you try and dial it into your preferences, you shouldn't have any problems. They also have these presets up at the top. I wasn't a fan of any of them. And then you could set different profiles if you make them. Dynamic range control. So this will kind of compress all your sound to make everything the same level as you're playing in game. Noise canceling. You have the noise canceling, you have the ambient sound, then you have off. I'm gonna be just straight with you guys. The ambient sound level is there, but it's not great. Even with sound level all the way up, the focusing on voice, you're just not getting like a full world. It still feels like you have something just jammed in your ears, plugging up your sound. It's not great compared to other earbuds I've used. So spatial sound on and off. This works really great when you're in game. Honestly, the sound is so directional, and it's really good in game. There's an app for your phone called 360 Audio by Sony. They're gonna make you take a picture of both of your ears. That gets sent up to the Sony server, and then when you come into here, it actually analyzes that plus what you've picked for your tips and device settings, and it creates this sound profile for you. I like mine personally. I think it sounds really dead on. I'll go more into how I feel about the sound in general in a bit, but I think it's just like a really cool process. We'll have to sign to Sony. They got that pass key thing going on right now, which doesn't work totally 100% all the time, so keep that in mind. The volume, I typically keep this maxed out, as I use a separate mixer when I'm on PC. Obviously, when I'm on PlayStation 5, I have to use the earbuds as my controller for volume. No big deal there. Other than that, so game chat balance, when I'm at the computer, I leave everything turned up to game so I can get the max volume coming out of my settings. I'm using a separate mixer so I can adjust more than just the game and the chat, but things like my browser, things like music and whatnot. So if you have something like what I use, like a Beacon Mix Create, or any sort of mixer like that, you're gonna find that you can do that with these headphones. That actually leads into microphones. So the microphone on here was side tone all the way up. I still wish I could hear my voice more coming back to me. It's just not that loud. Even with the ambient sound on, focusing on voice and the auto gain control, I just wish I was able to hear more presence of myself. Unfortunately too, when you're bringing up this volume knob here for your mic, it's letting in a lot of that ambient sound too. So even if you had this all the way off and you wanted to just be noise canceling, so all this is off right now, and you had side tone on, you're still gonna get like a little bit of fan background, AC, whatever's going on in your room, right? That does bring me up one other thing though when it comes to microphone. Even though the dongle offers low latency, if you're using a separate microphone, you're probably gonna consider muting out your voice entirely, as it's not latency free. I'm using my MV7 microphone with the headphones, so I'm getting all the game, the PC audio into my earbuds. But when it comes to what I want people to hear from me, I'd rather use this microphone. Unfortunately, I can't have my own voice feed back to me. I could, but it's going to be a delay and it's going to drive me crazy. So I don't really recommend that. Other than that, you have add sync settings. So you could like add an app in here, select the app, go in here. It's like if I wanted Spotify, you know, I could go in and find Spotify and hopefully it would, you know, show up in here with that app, maybe certain games for certain profiles. There's a lot you could do with the INZONE app. I think having that customization ingrained into just something that gives you this kind of control, whether some of them are great or not. Like hopefully we get some firmware devices along the way. I love having these touch sensors on here, even though having them a certain way works better than others. I just think you get more for your money out of this. This is exactly what I was hoping to see from the PlayStation Pulse Explorer, but obviously that's more for the PlayStation side. They weren't interested in a lot of the PC stuff. So yeah, I think for what you get for the INZONE Buds though, this is cool. On the PlayStation 5, there is no dedicated app for the INZONE Buds, but they do recognize them as a Sony accessory device. As soon as you plug the dongle in, you will see that the INZONE Buds show up as an accessory. You'll be able to see its battery life, which is quite nice. As well as you'll get like a few communication features between the two. So if I wanted to be able to mute the microphone from my earbuds, I can absolutely do that. And you actually see on the controller, it turns orange, which is kind of cool. And then of course, if I have my volume settings, I can use that from the earbuds too, depending on what you've set up in the the PC app to be able to have volume go up or down. The PlayStation also allows access to 360 audio through the INZONE Buds. This is done through the settings, and it can be adjusted minimally just based off of like your height of where your canal is in your ear. And that's kind of a cool option. But other than that, there's not too much as far as settings go. So when we're talking about the sound of the INZONE Buds, I had mixed feelings right away, as I actually felt like the PlayStation Pulse Explorer earbuds just sounded a little bit better to me personally, because it had a flatter frequency response. It sounded a little bit more natural. There was a little bit more resonance in the bass end, and I don't know, I really appreciated how the planar magnetic drivers really push sound through those things. So when I got the Sony INZONE Buds, I was kind of expecting something similar, but I had never tried the WF-1000 XMF or XM5s, which is essentially what these the drivers in here are based off of. They use the exact same drivers, and I think they were going for that sound. I would say these sound a little bit more on the cold side, not as warm as I was hoping to hear. And not as much in the bass. So I would say out of the box, when you're using these, you're definitely gonna have to play with that EQ on the computer app and kind of tailor it to you. Now I will say, just like the Explorer Buds, after some time using them, they start to warm up. You start to see more life out of the frequencies. And it comes to life a little bit more. And I've grown to like the way that the sound comes out of here. As far as music is concerned, your soundstage is going to be very close. Things are very close together. But where these really shine is in gameplay and like TV and things that have that use the 360 audio side, that object directional sound. I thought was absolutely incredible on here. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it felt really natural that I would turn the camera in a direction that the object was, whether it was, left or right, so naturally. I didn't have to think about it very much, and it was easy. It was easy. It was actually surprising. So I think you guys are gonna really enjoy the immersive sound of the 360 audio with these. I would say just make sure to get everything set up with the app. Make sure you get the right earbud tips in there. And I think you're gonna be pretty impressed, because I know I was at least. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts too on that. All right, so we've talked a lot about it from just what it has to offer. I really want to just go over the pros and cons to this, though, real quick before I end the video, because I know it's getting probably a little long at this point. But first thing right off the bat, the heat. Like, again, it's Arizona here. It's hot. So for me, that is a huge plus. Depending on where you live and what your situation with your room is, like, I don't know. But this has given me a lot more freedom to roam around, to be able to move my head in areas that are it's just easy. It's just light, feels nice. It's a whole different experience in that regard. So also, if you're a couch gamer, you're not gonna get neck cramping like you would if you have like a big old cans on your head. And I know I'm a little older. I'm in my 30s now. Maybe some of you guys are just like, that never happens to me. And well, I'm kind of jealous. Fantastic spatial audio, feature rich for a hefty price tag on this guy. If you have LE audio on your phone, it is nice to be able to switch between the two options. These things also get incredibly loud, which I really appreciate. The case is nice. And battery life, which we haven't really talked about yet. You get 12 hours out of this case, and then 12 additional hours from the buds itself. I just kind of said that backwards, but you know what I mean. And the other cool thing is that if you're dead on the buds, you can throw it back in the case. 5 minutes will get you 1 full hour. So that is a huge plus right there. Cons, the compatibility on this guy is kind of whack. That they chose LE audio to be able to be used. The glossy parts of the earbuds are like, I don't like that they could be scratched. And the mic on here, if you're using it on a PlayStation, it's nothing crazy. I almost didn't even put it in the cons because I feel like people know what to expect with something like this. Like, it's probably just as good as any of your other earbuds. And then the two big gripes I actually do have about here is side tone and ambient listening. So one of the big purchasing points for this, for me at least, is ambient listening. I like to be able to hear the things that are happening in my house, whether my wife needs help with something or whatnot. It's just easy for me to do that with ambient listening, or the earbuds I walk around with every day. These, not so much. The ambient listening is just not that great, which also includes the side tone, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's just the mic picking up your own voice so you could hear yourself. And it's not great either, to be honest. The one other thing, no simultaneously inputting sources to this device either. So you can't listen to two sources at the same time like you could on the PlayStation Pulse Explore Bud. So all in all, I think Sony INZONE Buds are sticking around this summer. I've been using them a ton. They've been sitting on my desk. They're not going anywhere. I think they've made a huge impact on my life already. And that's usually what I love out of tech. So when something just kind of changes the way I do something and makes it easier. So if you're looking for a different kind of experience that don't revolve around cans, I think these are a great way to go. I think if it's in the price point and you're considering maybe even the Sony Pulse Explorer, look at these guys too. Find a good return policy just to make sure. If you hate the sound, you could bring them back, but consider them. And if you guys like this stuff, let me know in the comments so I can make some more. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the other the Pulse Explore Bud video that I did that I'll leave down in the description. Thank you so much for being here, and subscribe if you like, right? But if not, just happy you stopped by. So have a great day, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.